Okay, I'm back. I said after this like I was taking commercial break. Anyhow, okay, I must be getting sleepy. All right, so let's go ahead and finish line 2. He who walks uprightly and works righteousness and speaks the truth in his heart. Okay, so it's going back. This is a question that, David is answering himself. Lord, who may abide in your tabernacle, who may dwell in your holy hill? He who walks uprightly and works righteousness and speaks the truth in his heart. He who does not backbite with his tongue, nor does evil to his neighbor, nor does he take up a reproach against his friend, in whose eyes a vile person is despised, but he honors those who fear the Lord. He who swears to his own hurt and does not change. He who does not put out his money at usury, nor does he take a bribe against the innocent. All right, so those are the people who can stand or sojourn or abide in the Lord's tabernacle or in his holy hill. All right, so let's go back to line 3 and read the reference scripture in Leviticus 19:16 through 18. Okay, it says, you should not go about as a talebearer among your people, nor shall you take a stand against the life of your neighbor. I am the Lord. You should not hate your brother in your heart. You shall surely rebuke your neighbor and not bear sin because of him. You shall not take vengeance nor bear any grudge against the children of your people, but you shall love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord. But people do this all the time. You should not go about as a talebearer among your people, nor shall you take up a stand against the life of your neighbor. I am the Lord. You shall not hate your brother in your heart. You shall surely rebuke your neighbor and not bear sin because of him. You shall not take vengeance nor bear any grudge against the children of your people, but you shall love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord. All right, so so going back to line 3 in Psalm 14, he who does not backbite with his tongue. And so that's just being a talebearer, being a gossiper. All right, so not being a gossiper, then you can stand in the Lord's tabernacle. All right, so if you have anything to say to anybody, it's best to be upfront with them. Don't backbite, front bite. Tell them what's going on. Because when you backbite, you create a mess and you create a dissension and discord, and that's one thing God hates. And then it says, nor does evil to his neighbor, nor does he take up a reproach against his friend. All right, so reproach is something counted to the discredit of others. So he's not going to do that to his friend. And so they give us a reference scripture in Exodus 23:21. That says, you should not circulate a false report. Do not put your hand with the wicked to be an unrighteous witness. And so you see that a lot too. People don't mind filing false reports. People don't mind being an unrighteous witness. A lot of money and stuff be traded under the table to so they can win cases and stuff like that, and then or make pleas and all of that, and the victims and stuff are always the one that suffer, from all of the underhandedness. But there is a God that's sitting on the throne. So 4, in whose eyes a vile person is despised, but he honors those who fear the Lord. He who swears to his own hurt and does not change. And so it gives us a reference scripture to Esther 3:2. And this is when it was talking about how Haman had wanted to annihilate all the Jews and stuff like that. And so, because he hated the Jews, and so he sent this decree saying that, everybody had the king to sign it, underhandedly, and that if people had to bow down to him at a certain hour, and if they didn't bow down, then they were going to be killed. All right, so he knew that Mordecai wasn't going to bow down, and he really was after him. All right, and he was after the Jewish people, because the Jewish people, they cannot serve other gods. And so, and they weren't bowed down to anybody else but Jehovah God. All right, so it gives us this reference scripture, Esther 3:2, that says, and all the king's servants who were within the king's gate bowed and paid homage to Haman, for so the king had commanded concerning him, but Mordecai would not bow or pay homage. All right, and that's why it says here that he, in whose eyes a vile person is despised, but he honors those who fear the Lord. All right, so Haman feared the Lord, so he wasn't going to bow down to Haman. And also, as being a person who dwells in the Lord's tabernacle, their eyes, a vile person is despised. But he honors those who fear the Lord, just like Mordecai did. And he who swears to his own hurt and does not change. And that's Leviticus 5:4. Leviticus 5:4, that says, or if a person swears, speaking thoughtlessly with his lips, to do evil or to do good, whatever it is that a man may pronounce by an oath, and it is hidden from him, when he realizes it, then he shall be guilty in any of these matters. All right, so if a person is or if a person swears, speaking thoughtlessly with his lips, to do evil or to do good. So if you say you're going to do something and don't do it, or if you say I'm gonna bop you over the head, or I'm gonna kill you tonight, or I'm gonna make dinner for you tonight, and if you don't do none of that, all right, to do evil or to do good, whatever it is that a man may pronounce by an oath. And now if you swear that, like a lot of people like to swear and promise and all of that, that's why it's not good to promise. Jesus said, let your yes be yes and your nay be nay. Just yes or no. Don't do all that swearing. And then young people are so quick to swear by the Father's name. And they really don't understand the condemnation that they're bringing to themselves. And it is hidden from him. When he realizes it, then he shall be guilty in any of these matters. All right? So, just practice what you preach. And I'm going to stop right there.